A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Back then, this is how our teacher taught us about alphabets, by singing and reading it from the classboard. But kids nowadays learn it from different ways, through PowerPoint, audio, or even video that can make learning even more fun. Or maybe because technology is the only choice of learning medium nowadays. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused sudden and huge changes worldwide, and one of the most affected sectors is the education system. Schools have been closed for the longest time and students are forced to implement online learning, no matter in what class or wherever they are. Some believe that pandemic accelerates history. At the GeekWire Summit 25 years ago, Bill Gates already predicted about video conferencing such as Zoom meeting, WebEx, and how it will change our lives in the future. Now this proved that our current pandemic truly accelerates our technologies by raising the demand and necessity of technology itself. So in terms of education, we can clearly see how easy it is for us right now to access education platforms such as Zenius, Ruang Guru, Kuiper, etc. We can even hold online competitions that reach bigger scale of participants. For instance, this very competition, which attracts students from all over Indonesia, because the internet has cut our spending efficiently by not having to travel so far to Bandung. Now that is one example of how online technologies have benefited us. But there are still a lot of problems here. Based on elearningindustry.com, there are disadvantages that come from online learning, such as social isolation, lack of accessibility in remote areas, and also the lack of necessary tools to conduct online classes by teachers. For example, I have a cousin. He's currently studying in the first grade of junior high school. When I asked him a very simple math equation, he couldn't answer. I was very surprised at the time. But then he explained to me that he didn't know the answer because his math teacher often has difficulties in operating Zoom meeting. Of course, this will hamper youth education, right? And that's only the ones who actually have access to gadgets and other technological tools. What about the ones who live in remote areas? Based on the research of STKIP Wamena about the effectiveness of online learning during COVID-19 in Papua, online learning is proven as a perfect way to halt the spread of COVID-19. But it is the worst way possible to conduct education in Papua due to the lack of gadgets and also internet access there. Now, if this keeps on going, the gap of education inequality in Indonesia will surely get wider. So, does that mean that we need to go back to the old way of learning? Do we need to go back to the old style of book and pen? Not necessarily. Moving on from the current pandemic means that we can return to offline methods while still making the most of our online advancement. UNICEF, UNESCO, and also World Bank have joined forces to launch Mission Recovery Education 2021, focusing on 3 priorities. All children and youth are back in school and receive the tailored services needed to meet their learning, health, psychosocial well-being, and other needs. Students receive effective remedial learning to help recover learning losses. And all teachers are prepared and supported to address learning losses among their students and to incorporate digital technology into their teaching. To realize these 3 missions, of course there are things to be done. First of all, we need to close the gap between children who are privileged and unprivileged. From the very first start, we cannot choose whether we're going to be born as rich or poor. It is called the birth lottery, which is why it is very unfair if people who live in a poor environment cannot get the same education as the privileged. Remember, education is a right, not luxury. So, what can we do then? We need to ensure internet access for every school. Or, even better, the government should give free Wi-Fi access for people in the remote areas. Maybe we can start from the cities to the village meeting halls. Based on President's vision in achieving Indonesia Mas 2045, internet accessibility should be one of the main concerns of the government so that we can optimize the demographic bonus in 2045. In line with this mission, as well as achieving SDG number 4, the government should ramp up the technology and information infrastructures. Now we have Zoom and YouTube. In the future, we will use more artificial intelligence and virtual reality. So in order to support those, it's obvious that we need a stronger information system. Second, proper training and education for teachers to conduct online teaching so that they can maximize their skill alongside the advancement in education technologies. Based on the data from BDK Jakarta, the lack of teachers' comprehension about technologies leads to boredom in learning and followed by the decreasing of learning and teaching motivation. This happens because our teachers, who are mainly from the older generation, were forced to learn many things about technologies in a very short span of time. From this lesson, we should take note that not only the future students, but also the future teachers need to master technologies. Next, we have to improve our education policy. Believe it or not, our educational system was not good even before the pandemic hit. In 2018, the Conversation Media held a survey analyzing various education policies published at the local level. The survey results shows that most of the policies aimed at increasing student grades are ineffective. The survey analyzed 34 education policies from 13 districts and cities across Indonesia and found that local governments are more focused on improving student scores rather than increasing the number of children going to school. Now, these kinds of policies will surely widen our educational gap. We have to give more attention to the children with lack of access so that they can have equal education. Stronger policies among ministries will be needed here. Education matters should be a collaborative effort between Ministry of Education, Economy, and also Information and Technology. The pandemic situation gives us setbacks as well as a glimpse of the future. When it comes to education, it's going to be Technoducation. We should see this as an opportunity to still start towards the future development. As future generations, we have to be able to use this technological advancement to its fullest so that we can reach our true potential. Just like what Nelson Mandela was saying, education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world. So, let's change the future of Indonesian education from